What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Going for Two with Jack Taylor. I'm Jack Taylor.
And my name is Hunter too.
And we are so excited to be here bringing you a podcast on Super Bulldog Weekend. We're coming to you on Friday morning, and oh my goodness. My goodness.
One of the best things about Friday mornings is, we get Friday morning motivation. Jack, and what do you have for us?
Well, first of all, we have an action-packed episode today. It's going to be long.
Longish, maybe.
Maybe.
Football's back.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep the motivation short and simple. Drink water. Stay hydrated. I mean, whether this weekend includes being at the Dude Friday, Saturday, Sunday for you. I mean, sun's gonna be out. You gotta be hydrated. Or say you're staying at home this weekend, cutting grass. Maybe stay hydrated. So that's the motivation. It comes from Janet Taylor. Great advice, honestly. My sister gives the great advice. Drink water. So.
I can't argue with drinking water.
Yeah.
That'd be a tough one for me.
Yeah. So I'm sure everybody that comes to the Dude this weekend with coolers in hand.
Only drinking water.
Full of water. Baseball water, maybe.
Full of water.
Full of baseball water. So, all right. So that being said, what do we have in store today?
Okay, first, we're going to talk about the Ole Miss series.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a little bit of special segment. Kind of like...
Kind of a secret segment.
Kind of like players as dogs, but kind of a different turn on it.
Twist on that.
And then the spring game talk is up.
Yeah, let's go.
Which is good. We're just going to touch on that. We don't know much. We've never seen a Mike Leach spring game before. And then it's like the old glory days. We have Instagram questions, and they are aplenty.
And a lot of them, yeah. So,
it's so good.
Really
I'm glad that the easy part of our episode is easy, and it's so long now. It's going to be great.
Really
great episode coming up. And with that said, I think it's time to get into the Ole Miss series.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
And one of the best parts about this is when tickets went on sale, it seemed like there was going to be a limit. Mm-hmm. But now the ceiling is the roof.
Yeah. It's basketball great Michael Jordan once said, ceiling is the roof.
So, attendance is going to be wild. The Dude is open.
We may be there with 15,000 of our closest friends. So... who knows? This is going to be an insane weekend. I mean, the craziest weekend that I've ever seen at the Dude in person. So, this is going to be so awesome. There's going to be a lot of Ole Miss fans there, but obviously there's going to be an insane amount of
Saturday is going
there.
to be so good.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
I mean, assuming that the weather stays like it is now, I mean, rain early in the day, I don't think it's going to hold anybody back from being here. It's going to be a
nice 65. It's going to be great.
Sheesh.
Okay, and then the first thing, most people have been asking this question, who has the most pressure on them in this game, Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
So, I mean, coming into the series, I think you have to say Ole Miss just because we've swept the last two weekends and Ole Miss has lost the last two.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming off losses against Florida. They went 1-2 against them, went 1-2 against Arkansas in a crazy series last weekend. Mm-hmm. And so I think, them getting back on track really, I mean, it relies on them winning this series. And so this is their last effort at getting a super regional bid or hosting, I guess. I think they're pretty much locked in a regional host, but I mean, this is the resume builder they have to host a super regional.
Yeah, and another thing is they have the big recruiting monkey on their back about being 2-14 over the last 16 meetings with Mississippi State.
Yeah, that is a toughie right there.
And them, it's just breaking that. And for us, it's keeping up that standard that we've had for a few years.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, I mean, I think any recruit, and I think there are going to be some recruits here this weekend, surely, especially for the spring game and then coming to this game, seeing this series is going to be huge for anybody that's, can't decide between Ole Miss and State. Like, I think just seeing
what a good position to be in as a recruit in baseball.
Absolutely. I just think the Dude being open, I mean, attendance records on the line, like it's going to be an insane weekend. And for anybody that's trying to decide between where to go, I mean, this series could be huge.
Yeah. So. It was kind of fun to see last weekend. Southern Miss and Ole Miss had attendance record weekends.
Yeah.
Like it was their highest ever. And well, let's see if we walk up there and kind of reclaim
it was just, I mean, it's almost like Mississippi State saw that and was like, yeah, we can't let them one-up us.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's kind of our thing. We have a board about the highest attendance with magnets. Like, we can't not.
We have to let get LSU off this list. I think they're at like 19-20, and so
Yeah, just knock them down. We can do it in a weekend.
yeah.
I mean, if we did
a good Friday and good Saturday, we'll just
that'd be
awesome.
so good. Okay, so one thing about this Ole Miss team is they are leading the SEC in batting right now.
Yeah.
But there's two big pieces missing right now. Elko is out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's not out for like forever. He's somehow rehabbing a torn ACL and trying to come back as a DH, which, oh my goodness, if he was on our team, I'd be like, that is the most bad A thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
But that just seems like
It doesn't sound like a good decision.
seems like poor
but
career.
Yeah, and that being said, we won't see him in this series. I mean, I guess there is a chance we see Ole Miss later on, and then we could run into Elko, but he will be out for the series. And then Johnny Bench's son, Justin, I believe is his name, their third baseman, is doubtful for the weekend. So.
Yeah, we could see him Saturday and Sunday, but it's kind of like TA getting sitting down for the midweek, but he kind of had an injury in the Arkansas series.
It wasn't just like soreness or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So those are two huge parts of their offense. That,
like best two.
Yeah, that we're probably not going to see. So who knows?
Yeah. Another thing about Ole Miss, on their Sunday starters, they moved their most consistent reliever to the Sunday start.
Yeah.
They replaced Diamond with McDaniel.
Yeah.
McDaniel's been pretty good out of the pen, did some midweek work, been pretty good. So, I mean, I don't know what he's going to do against SEC competition. We'll see.
I mean, I know we'll get to it in just a moment, but I mean, I'd take us in a Sunday game either way, especially if the first two games go the way that we want them to, not using our bullpen completely. I mean, I take Sunday, if both of us have full bullpen, which I don't see how that could be possible. If both of us have our entire bullpens ready, I take us completely. So, all right, well, let's move into like the game by game. Let's see the pitching matchup. So Friday night, I mean, obviously for us, it's going to be Christian McLeod, and then the name that you're going to see for Ole Miss is Gunnar Hoagland. And so, what you got about Gunnar?
Hoagland strikes out so many people.
Yeah.
And he's going against an offense that, at least how it seems when you watch them, does not strike out a lot. We're always putting balls in play. Whether they're good balls or not, it's in play. I'm really intrigued for this matchup, and C-Mac is just like him with the strikeouts.
Yeah. I mean, just to put in perspective what this is, I know Christian McLeod struggled earlier in the year, but he's at 58 strikeouts right now. I think Hoagland is somewhere in the 70s. So, I mean, that's just how many strikeouts Hoagland gets. I mean, it's double digits every time he goes out there.
It's a top 15 pitcher matchup in the MLB draft.
Yeah. I mean, both of them looking like they're going to be first-round picks. And so this is going to be, and I know you hear us say it a lot, but it's SEC ball. It's going to be a pitcher's duel. It seems like it's going to be. So, I mean, for us, I think you're going to see Christian McLeod on a really good day, like we've seen in the past 2 weeks. You're going to see him go 6 innings, maybe 5, 6, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But for Gunnar Hoagland and this Ole Miss pitching staff, they really like to send their pitchers into over 100 pitches.
Yeah, and Friday and Saturday, we're almost guaranteed to see Nikhazy and Hoagland go 100 pitches.
Yeah.
And I really think the most important thing for us is going to be getting to Taylor Broadway early. Taylor Broadway is kind of like their ace in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Kind of like Landon, but not as good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
I think that's pretty
if
safe.
we can make him throw at least 2 innings, he's not as good in his second appearance of the series.
Yeah.
So if we can do that, that has me feeling great for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
We just have, as it always seems, get to the starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, all that being said about Hoagland and Nikhazy, which we'll talk about in a moment, going into the 100 pitches, that's completely best case scenario for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Because they don't have as deep a bullpen as we do, and that's assuming that our offense, who's really heating up right now, doesn't get to them early. So, our offense could just flip a switch and just get 10 runs like they did on...
Our offense seems a whole lot like our pitching staff. Like, remember earlier in the season, the scoreless streak of innings?
Yeah.
It seems like our offense can hit a stride at any point and just be incredible.
Yeah, be untouchable.
Like, I don't know, like, it's going to be a wild ride. I mean, right now our easiest out is 3-year starter Hatcher.
And it could take one weekend against this in-state rival to turn it around completely.
Okay, in my opinion, in one game against Auburn. I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean,
yeah. I mean, and once again, it's not that he's just completely uncompetitive in these at-bats. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard. It's just like we've already said, like, we don't strike out very often. He's putting the ball in play, and most of the time it's good contact. But it's just that seems to be the story of the last few weeks. Is just he's not hitting the ball.
Yeah. One important thing in this Friday game is after CMAC keeps us in the game, because we know that's what CMAC does, is we need to find a bridge to Landon.
Yeah.
And before it was kind of Brandon Smith So Brandon Smith's been a little shaky, but I know me and you have talked about this, and we both have confidence that he's going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we can find someone to bridge us to Landon, so Landon doesn't have to do any 9-out saves.
Yeah, and I do think that Houston Harding is a name that we could see take that role. Especially like him on Friday, so that we can see him again on Sunday if needed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like relief pitchers going back-to-back days, Saturday and Sunday. I like a little bit of rest there. And it seems like Lamonis does too.
Mm-hmm.
So Houston going Friday to bridge to Landon. Could be
him or Preston or Brandon could all be options.
Yeah, and I'll talk about a name I really want to see on Sunday when we get there. But moving forward into the Saturday game, we're going to see Will Bednar. And we're going to see him go against Doug Nikhazy, who we've actually seen before, and he pitched really well against us in 2019. So
Nikhazy is going to be the biggest villain I think the new dude has seen.
He might be up there with Olthoff. Tulane's ace on a Friday night. He got suspected of having some substance in his glove, and he turned to our dugout and gave a thumbs up. I think Doug Nikhazy could give us like an evil villain laugh and like some dance or something.
If Nikhazy does good, I kind of expect him to bow to our crowd.
Yeah.
Just give him a bow. But
he's a weird guy. I mean, he talks to himself on the mound. He does little dances. He runs off the mound, I think, after good innings. He just sprints off.
And the weird thing about him is he doesn't, like, his arm isn't like 98, high 90s stuff. He just fights out of innings. And we saw in the Arkansas series, he pitched the game of his life, but was walking people and had like 2 or 3 people on base multiple times.
Yeah.
And just got out of the stuff. And
I've never seen us strand guys on base.
So that doesn't sound like us.
For the record, that sounds like us. So we really, that's the key to getting to Nikhazy, I think, is take advantage of walks, take advantage of, having guys in scoring position, whether it's using small ball, hit and runs, bunts, whatever it is. We have to take advantage of it.
I think one key to this weekend is going to be 2-out hits. Mm-hmm. Whichever team has those is probably going to win this series.
Yeah. But going back to the 2019 game that we saw Nikhazy in, Game 2 in Oxford, I believe, he pitched 6 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 runs. And, all things considered, that's a great start in an SEC game. But their bullpen blew it for him. And obviously, we continued our dominance over Ole Miss and swept that series. So, that was obviously 2 years ago. So, I know that Nikhazy's probably a better pitcher than he was then. But the fact that some of our guys, we have a lot of veteran guys on this team that have seen him before.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we have an advantage of, that we've seen Hoagland, we've seen Nikhazy, and they've seen nobody in our pitching staff, with the exception of Spencer Price
and Brandon Smith. Yeah. Yeah. Another thing about Nikhazy, he's one of the 3 lefties in this pitching staff for Ole Miss.
Yeah. Once again, one of 3 lefties.
3 lefties, and one of them has like a 22 ERA. Yeah. So just... We're not seeing lefties.
And we have a majority of left-handed batters, so this is really, really good for us. This is an advantage that we have. We keep talking about advantages that we have, and yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. I think that we have the advantage in this series, and that's not even including
the only one that's really a wash is the Friday night starters, in my mind at least.
Yeah, and that's not even including us being in a potentially packed dude for part of this series. So I really do like us in this series, and we'll definitely get into our prediction in a moment. But first, we'll move on to the Sunday game, where we'll see the familiar Jackson Fristow face off against the guy that we just talked about coming out of the bullpen for them, Drew McDaniel. And so what do you see in this series?
It's an SEC Sunday series.
Yeah.
It could either be somehow scoreless through a lot, or the over-under is going to be 19.5 runs in this game.
Yeah. In this one, it really just depends on how the first 2 games go. I mean, what our bullpen looks like. Because we've seen Fristow be great. We've seen him, have 6 perfect innings, and we've also seen him, like we did last weekend, just struggle. And that was with a 10-run lead. I get it was weird, but
our pitchers don't know how to pitch with a lead.
But we have seen him struggle, and so I don't see that happening a second weekend in a row, especially with, the amount of juice that he's going to have this weekend. I mean, he's just going to be, I feel like he's going to be really, really good, wanting a strong comeback. But, it just depends on, how the first 2 games go. I mean, who has the momentum coming in and who has the bullpen.
I feel like comfortably most people think or say Mississippi State has the advantage in starting pitching in this game. Mm-hmm. And I'd also believe that we'd have the advantage in bullpen. So, that pitching is important in baseball.
Yeah.
If you have the advantage in both of those, that seems like a good recipe at least. I don't know.
And just to throw this out there, we did say that Ole Miss is leading the SEC in batting, but we are coming into this game with a 5-game stretch where we've scored 65 runs. Our offense is on fire right now, and that's not just in the midweeks. That's against SEC opponents, and it was Auburn, but, it's an SEC opponent.
Greenhill 2-hit Ole Miss.
Yeah, Auburn's ace 2-hit Ole Miss, and we got to him in 5 innings, I think, and won that game. So we weren't shut out into the 9th inning. So, it's weird, but I think that we're better suited for a slugfest, if that's what it turns out to be right now, because Ole Miss was getting just blanked early in the game against Arkansas in that game that turned into a slugfest. And I like to think the only thing that kept them in that was an insane crowd. And obviously, they have good hitters, but that
coach getting thrown out on purpose.
It's a bold move, but
it worked. Kinda almost.
Yeah, but we've got guys that have never hit home runs before hitting home runs. Lane Forsythe is heating up, and I just think that it may sound weird that we're better suited for this, but our little guys that aren't 6'2" are hitting home runs, and Ole Miss's heavy, tall guys are not. So
Cale Baker.
So I think we've got 38 home runs in the year. They've got 37, and how's that for some little guys?
A little slap hitter.
But all right. So if you had to give it over under for that game, 19.5 runs. What you saying?
I'm gonna go under on that one.
I think I am too. I think.
I feel like we can just keep on throwing bullpen arms at it.
Yeah.
And I know in the Arkansas State game, the last inning,
those
aren't our arms.
Yeah.
Except for the one that got 2 outs. Those aren't our arms.
And an interesting appearance that we might see on Sunday, if it does turn into a bullpen game, I think we might get to see Parker Stennett in that game. Got a lot of hair, so you won't miss him if he comes in. But he's pushing 95, and he's from Oxford, so I think this will be an interesting series for him to make an appearance and showing Ole Miss what they could have had if they had gotten a hometown kid. So
yeah, I agree. One thing that we didn't talk about in this, there's been a whole lot of talk about the Hatcher situation,
mm-hmm.
and what would your approach be against the Hatcher situation? Would you replace him? Would you move TA to first, Brad to first, get someone in, wait and see? What would you do?
I do want to start this off by saying I don't think that Lamonis would be scared to replace him in the middle of a series. I expect Hatcher to be first baseman and batting in 6 or 7 like we've seen in the past few games. But we saw Lane Forsythe make his debut in a Saturday game in a series against Kent State. So I'm not saying that it's out of the realm of possibility for somebody to take Hatch's place on Saturday or Sunday if he shows up and goes 0 for 4, 0 for 5. You got to have some production from your first baseman. Although he's really good defensively, you might as well take your chance with somebody else that could possibly be good at offense.
Okay, to follow that one up, who would you replace him with? We have a lot of options. We can move Luke Hancock to first. We can move TA back to first. Try Brad at first. There's a whole lot that we could do. What would you do?
To make me feel the most comfortable, I would have somebody there that's played first base before, so I would put TA there. But I don't know what the answer is from that. Do you move? Do you completely reconstruct your outfield and put somebody who you really trust in right field, as opposed to putting Brad there, who could be kind of a toss-up for...
We're not sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him play in left field, but I mean, I think... me personally, I think that the right fielder needs a better arm than a left fielder.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't
Drew
know.
McGowan time.
I don't know if you...
0.89 batting average.
If you move Braylon to right, Rowdy to right, I mean, if you move TA out of the outfield, you're gonna have to reconstruct a lot.
No, we just let Rowdy and Braylon just have the outfield.
I mean, just two outfielders.
That's all we need. Yeah. So much range out there. Surely no fly balls would drop.
No, I mean, even with three outfielders, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, definitely would never happen.
All right. So that being said, or what would your...
I'd really like to see Brad at first.
Brad at first, okay. He looks like a first.
Brad or Hancock at first, and then fill the hole from there. Brad looks like a first baseman. Hancock warms up at first baseman when he's not catching. So I think it makes sense. We've seen Logan Tanner at first. I'm not giving up that arm at catch. He is...
I mean, Ole Miss doesn't steal. If there was a weekend for us to put Logan at first, this would probably be it. They do not steal bases, but me saying that they're probably going to steal about 10 bases this week.
Yeah, JRP's going to go off for 5.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that being said, do you have any idea who your player of the series is going to be? For us. I mean, don't go out and say John Rice Plumlee or anything.
Yeah,
like
I was really thinking about it. Jake Mangum coming back to Starkville, you know.
Yeah.
He's a whole lot like Jake, except for the batting average.
I think he has 380 less hits. Might be bold, but that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm seeing.
Man, they almost have the same amount of starting positions on the Ole Miss football team too. Okay, dang. I think I'm gonna go Tanner Allen. He's been on fire lately, hitting great, and I think that's gonna be my pick.
He's also one of those guys that has seen 2/3 of this starting rotation before. So I mean, they're not new to him, and he's done really well against them too. So I think mine. I've said TA, I've said Rowdy. I'm gonna try to steer away from that and go with somebody who actually has never seen Ole Miss before. I'm going to say Lane Forsythe.
Really?
So got his first bomb the other night.
Almost had two?
Has had 2 3-hit games in a row, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he's tearing the cover off the ball right now, and I think he's going to continue.
He's our new cleanup hitter.
Let's not say that. I think he's still going to be in the 9 hole, which is weird, I know.
That's so crazy.
But second leadoff hitter, and man, I'm really excited to see. I mean, he's been incredible on defense, too. So.
Great. It was kind of weird seeing the transition from him just being in there for mostly his defense, and then the dude starts raking, and
I mean, he's batting 333.
Yeah,
I mean, he's doing really, really well, and I expect him to have a big weekend.
Okay, with that said, I kind of want to have fun with this one. Give me your player of the week for Ole Miss. I just kind of want to hear it.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Ole Miss. I do know somebody who's going to have a horrible time this weekend, and that's whoever plays right field for Ole Miss, because there's a right field student section at MSU State that is just gearing up. I mean, looking at Instagram accounts, just looking for anything they can to just completely tick off.
This is the exact direction I wanted this to go.
Yeah. I can't imagine anybody in right field for Ole Miss having a good time.
It's not going to be a good time if John Rice Plumlee goes to right field.
And if John Rice Plumlee hits a home run, I might even be happy for him, because he's just because of what he's going to have to endure being in right field. So,
it's going to be so tough. Yeah. I don't feel bad.
That's a toughie.
I don't feel bad, but wow. Okay, so getting into series predictions. I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. So, as bad as it sounds, I do think that Ole Miss is going to win Friday night. I don't ask me why. I mean, this game, Friday and Saturday, I know that we have these advantages, that we've talked about, but they're for the most part toss-ups. Yeah. And I just think that Ole Miss, gets one more big hit against Christian McLeod than we do against Hoagland, and he's going to go deep in the game, and I just think they're going to get it. It's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, if we're losing in a game, I don't think we see Sims, and so we don't have to waste him, early in the series. And then we come back Saturday with a packed dude, 2:00 in the afternoon, and we just completely dominate Ole Miss.
Yeah.
We're going to dominate them. And then I think we're better suited for Sunday game, and we're going to finish the series, win it, go 2-1.
Okay. I like that. I cannot predict a sweep for Mississippi State because, I'm ice cold on picks. I've never been right in a pick ever. So I'm going to go 1-2 Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss winning the series.
Okay.
I'm going to go Friday and Saturday. The KZ does something stupid. Great game. Career game. Ole Miss is revitalized for the season. They go on, host the Super.
Yeah, I mean, they do have more at stake here, I think. And so they've got more to play for. It's going to be a fun series. Don't get us wrong. Like I could see that going either way. If a team were to sweep, I think it would be us.
Yeah.
But, Friday night's going to be an important game, I think. And I think whoever wins that has a good shot at winning the series. But that being said, I think we're going to lose game one and then still win the series. So that's just my prediction and your prediction. So
my prediction is for content and because I have a curse. I can't be right about anything that I care about, so this is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
kind of predicting Kentucky to sweep us. That was a fun one. I've been red cold since then.
You're
red cold is how I'm saying that one. Okay. It's going to be a fun weekend.
It really is. And don't get me wrong, I think that we have a great baseball team. Like, I know we just talked about that whole thing. We have a great baseball team. I was so excited to watch them play.
Me too.
But even more than that, we have a great football team.
We do. And before we get into that, we're going to kind of dip into the Instagram questions. And this one was from Austin Swindle. Mm-hmm. And because football and baseball are at the same time, it's kind of fun times in the world right now.
Yeah.
Austin Swindle would like to see SEC starting QBs last year as a baseball team.
Okay.
With the batting order, we did it. We're just going to pop over here.
Okay.
And in our leadoff spot, playing center field, we have Kentucky QB, Terry Wilson. Got the best speed in the SEC.
Definitely covers some ground out in the outfield. I'm sure he can be, nice little contact hitter. I mean, I don't
pretty
expect
sure he'd be great at defense.
I don't expect to see any bombs, but
just get on base.
Yeah.
By whatever means.
He's still in second, third, and home every time.
Every time.
So, number 2 spot, we've got left fielder Bo Nix from Auburn. We saw him being a third baseman, but he's a little too quick for that.
Yeah.
So he does need to be covering some ground in the outfield, but he's also big enough to hit for power.
And we've seen him throw over a few times in football, just 20-yard overthrows at the end of games. So we know he has a big arm and can be out there in one of the corner outfield positions.
Absolutely. Number 3, in the 3-hole, I think is probably my favorite of this team. Mm-hmm. Not my favorite player, but my it just fits.
Yeah.
Is our shortstop Matt Corral. He just has. I think he thinks he has the swagger to be a shortstop. I don't see it.
Really? You don't at all. I see it. But I also don't think shortstops that think that they're
all I see is just a typical Ole Miss quarterback.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But
this one had
just
dreads
radiating
that
energy.
This one had cornrows at one time.
I mean, that makes me hate him even more. So he definitely fits the shortstop persona, just like probably best player on the team, but he also knows that he's the best player on the team. And not saying he's the best quarterback, but he just looks like a shortstop.
Yeah.
I mean, it just fits. So moving on from that, what you got in the 4-hole?
We have designated hitter TJ Finley.
And all we have to say for this is just he's kind of fat.
He can't play any other position, like maybe first, but we have a better one for that one. And he's right here at the 5-hole. We have first baseman Kyle Trask.
I mean, he's got the goatee, I think, that fits not most first basemen, but I mean, he
just kind of looks like a first baseman, honestly.
Yeah, he kind of looks like somebody that working as a mechanic or something, but also if he had to play a sport.
Also like a 3rd or 4th round QB in the NFL draft.
If he had to play another sport, though, he'd be a first baseman. Yeah. And then the 6-hole is our boy, the quarterback that you guys know and love is Will Rogers. Oh, I bet they thought I was going to say KJ Costello.
Yeah, KJ is Eric Sarantola in this equation.
Oh my gosh. No, so Will Rogers, second baseman.
That middle infield, Will Rogers and Matt Corral.
They're turning some sick double plays.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Will, it's an easy choice. He's just small. I mean, not small.
Yeah, he's kind of.
I mean, he's tiny.
For this team, he's kind of small.
Yeah, I mean, for an SEC quarterback, a little bit small, just like you want your second baseman to be. And he's hitting for a little bit of power. I mean, 6-hole is packing a little bit of a punch, I think. But not too much, though. Number 7 is national champion catcher, Mac Jones.
It was kind of weird because obviously, if I was creating a team, I wouldn't have Mac Jones at any position that I need him to be athletic in at all because it looks like Mac Jones and
Got that belly on him.
Mac Jones is a weird one. Waddle and Devontae Smith just do stuff to people, don't they? And Najee Harris. I guess having 3 people that could have won the Heisman around you kind of helps.
He could have won the Heisman.
That team was crazy. I'm glad we don't have to... Oh, wait.
So what went into your decision to make him 7? Or to make him a catcher, I mean.
He just kind of looks like a catcher.
He just got that gut on him. So
Yeah.
that's all the explanation we have for that one. And moving on to, this one could have gone a few ways, but I say it's in 8-hole is our third baseman, Felipe Franks.
He's the only person on this team that has been drafted in the MLB draft.
Yeah. And he did deserve it more than Elijah McNamee.
He definitely hit more big hits than Elijah McNamee.
Yeah,
Way more home
big
runs.
Big hit Felipe, I think is what
as they
call
call him. Big hit Franks.
He actually did get drafted by the Red Sox, but will not have a future.
You know what
in
they always
baseball.
say, the Red Sox are a great run organization. And they may be. Okay, and then in the 9-hole, the 89-year-old QB, 17-year starter at Texas A&M, Kellen Mond in right field.
And I think that's just, he's got a little bit of speed, probably got a little bit of power, and really just acting like our second leadoff hitter there. Mm-hmm. So, but I think he's got a pretty good arm to be a right fielder.
Yeah.
Definitely has experience. So,
how many SEC wins? Okay, give this team 5 years of baseball practice. How many SEC wins are they getting? They have an average pitching staff.
Average pitching staff gets you 5 wins easy.
Hey, look at them.
So,
but
Mizzou. I don't think that this team would be competitive at all.
Wow.
With only 11.7 scholarships to go around.
I have a lot of hope in Bo Nix, don't I?
I think a lot of people did.
Bo Nix.
Like his baby mama.
Like his kid. And with that, that's going to bring us into the spring game.
Yeah.
The 4th leg of Super Bulldog Weekend.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see a Mike Leach spring game. Never seen one before. We kind of got robbed of it last year. I think it's going to be pretty good. Some things that we're going to be watching for, or at least I'm going to be watching for, is O-line play. I'm very excited. Didn't expect Scott Lashley to be back, honestly. Mm-hmm. Kind of read in between the lines last year that he was out in his career, like he was just done with football. I'd really like to see him be pretty good this year.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, that's the West Point player who went to Alabama and transferred to State. So, and playing close to home, we're really
an idea
excited
that
to see
I've
him.
heard is that'll also do a whole lot for recruiting for us because he went to Alabama. He didn't stay home, and he didn't play, didn't get a shot. Yeah. And if he comes back, gets drafted, and gets a good deal in the NFL,
if he's anywhere close to the Tyree Phillips and Gabe Jacksons that we've seen,
that's a recruiting thing, kind of like with D lineman that Mississippi State has kind of grown into being able to use.
Yeah.
And another thing that I'm wanting to see is some linebacker play. Yeah. Replacing Errol is going to be massive.
What do you mean Errol's coming back? That's not true.
Errol is not coming back. Oh, we're not breaking that one. Someone who is coming back, Abdul
Adu. Reportedly.
We're good at basketball, maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly. That's kind of sneaking in here with the football, but what is Mississippi State hoops?
We'll finish this football talk in just a minute, but I think you might be seeing a last-ditch effort for Ben Howland to keep his job.
It's crazy.
Getting a recruit getting a transfer from North Carolina and Garrison Brooks, and then getting another transfer, from Memphis. So it could be huge.
We're we're reloading
With
or
the dude coming
rebuilding,
back
to whichever one you'd like to call it.
Yeah, I mean, did lose Devion Smith, but I mean,
Like, as people said, I'm not going to miss those 3 points per game. Wonder how many games we're going to lose next year by 3 points. Okay, so back to football talk after that.
yeah.
Next thing, there's been a whole lot of people, because Mike Leach is like, oh, everything's a competition, that have been talking about the QB battle. And I really don't think it's a battle for number one. Mm-hmm. I think Will is this team's guy. I think over last season, at the end of it, we kind of saw him morph into that role. I know we didn't talk about it because we kind of stopped after Thanksgiving, but Will took over this team.
I mean, the Georgia game was really like a launch pad for him, I would say. I mean, first time like on a real national stage against a real team, and he did really, really well. Him and Wally established themselves as a really good duo, I think. And then you saw him against Ole Miss. I mean, obviously we lose the Egg Bowl, but
he showed out.
Yeah, I mean, did really, really well
against Mizzou, against Tulsa.
Hardly threw interceptions.
It was a different brand of Mississippi State football for that time.
Yeah, and I think it's just what the air raid was supposed to be. He just obeyed Mike Leach, and it really paid off. And so I think that's what I'm looking forward to going into the season is just like
a more comfortable Will Rogers.
More comfortable, and just seeing the air raid as it's supposed to be run. I mean, KJ, I think just
rock feet KJ,
and it just took us completely out of
KJ. That LSU game sure was fun though.
It just completely set unreal expectations for what the air raid was supposed to be. It's not 40-yard passes down the field. It's not this, that. It's just little dinks and dunks, and
we really started to understand that more as the season gone on. And we weren't doing the podcast during that time, but I was keeping up and still doing the spreadsheets during that time, and our average yards per play was skyrocketing throughout those. Yeah. We weren't having like nearly as many rough plays. Yeah. It was really exciting to see.
And seeing us the FPI that we saw ESPN post the other day, us being the number 8 team in the country. I don't want you guys to read too much into that. Could you talk a little bit about like what goes into that ranking?
A lot of FPI is coaching gets a grade. I guess it really favors Mike Leach because historically he does do good,
especially in his second year and beyond.
Second and third, yeah. Another thing is returning production. Mm-hmm. We have a whole lot on defense of returning production. Yeah. Our corners, Martin Emerson and Emmanuel Forbes, those are two guys that could be all SEC at the end of the season if they both play to their potential. Yeah. And then our offense at the end of the season, it's all back.
Yeah. I mean, you got Marks and Dylan Johnson at running back. You have Will Rogers. You have our receivers.
And you'll have our entire offense, Wally.
Yeah. And assumingly a stronger O-line, hopefully.
With Lashley in, I don't imagine how it could get worse.
And there's some JUCO guys too that, I mean, I just hope.
Please be able to plug and play.
Yeah. So, honestly, I think that's all that we have for football. Really, like you said, we're just really excited to see what this team's going to look like. Got a few things that you're looking for. But that's all we've got for football. And we're moving on to Instagram questions. We've actually put our prompt out in time this time, so you guys were able to provide those for us, and we're so thankful for that, for giving us content here at the end of this show. It's been a long one, but thank you guys for sticking around if you've made it this far.
Really glad we split this one between 2 episodes. This would be a tough one right now.
This will not be the norm, but it's Super Bulldog Weekend. We've got to talk about every sport, so it's really fun. So that being said, what do you have for our first question?
Okay, from Football James 17. Do you think Will has the QB spot in the bag, or will Jack Abraham challenge him?
I mean, like you mentioned, I know Mike Leach has to say that everything's a competition, but I don't think that Jack Abraham came here to be the starter. In my opinion, I think he might have come here just to learn from a great offensive mind.
Maybe he wants to get into coaching or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great opportunity for him. Just like we saw Logan Burnett go to Alabama last year. He didn't go there to get a spot. He went there to have something on his resume. Yeah. So I think that's what Jack Abraham's here for. That being said, he's probably making Will Rogers a better quarterback in the process by making this a competition. But that being said, I do think that Will Rogers is.
I really wonder what Jack Abraham thought when he came here and Jay Hobson showed up like 2 weeks later. Hey, coach, I hear you're now an analyst. Like, how wild. And then one that kind of is about the same thing from Corey Jeffco. Will Jack Abraham start for State? And I don't think so. I've heard that the transfer from South Alabama is actually making a real push for the number 2 guy right now. So, and I mean, it's a long summer. I'm glad we actually get summer practices. So things could change. We're not really sure. I'm just excited to see the spring game.
Yeah.
Okay, and then from CJ Hunter, weaknesses of the football team this season going into next year.
I think about weaknesses that we had last year. Really, really highlighted in the Egg Bowl. Set was the secondary, and then obviously O-line play is what we harped on all last year. But secondary seems to be shored up with our signing with our recruiting class. I think that we're going to be good there. Trust Zach Arnett to figure all that out. And then,
even though Zach Arnett says we have a horrible defense right now,
but that's really, I mean, in the way that I see it, that's just him.
That's Zach Arnett
having a tough standard for his guys. And then O-line play, like we've talked about, I think it's shored up. So not really quite sure what the...
I'd have to go with offensive line just because how it was last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, another year under the belt with these guys, we heard a whole lot about the splits and maybe actually getting a different workout regimen this season, kind of slimming down, being able to get out to those spots.
Yeah.
May help. I hope it does. I'll be excited to see it.
So that's the weakness moving forward. Hoping that it will turn into a strength, though. So.
Okay, Nathan Taylor, what will attendance be at the baseball game on Saturday?
It really depends. I've seen a few things on Twitter that it depends on if it's based on tickets sold or like actually like people in there, and it also depends on whether or not we're willing to report our actual numbers or if we're gonna try to please the COVID freaks and just say that there were only 9,000 people here.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna push 15,000. But that could just be me being really optimistic.
Yeah, I'm at like 13,500 to 14,000.
Yeah.
I think that's with us kind of shimmying down reporting. I don't think that our administration will go out there and be like, number 1 spot on attendance. But we very well could.
Number 1 spot. This is the first time we've ever had 16,000 people in the dude.
In a baseball game.
No, I don't think it's going to break a record, but I think it's going to be high.
Let's push out LSU. That'll be a fun one to do.
It'll definitely be top 20. It could be 14,000. I think the 15 I just said might have been a little ambitious.
Let's go for it. Okay, and then I did put questions on Gene's page. Okay. And the first one is from Oakla Dog. Besides Sims, who do you trust most out of the bullpen? 9th inning, up 1 run. Sims out. Who's on the mound?
In this situation, I'm not going to say Houston Harding just because he doesn't have the velocity. I think that you really have to be a closer. Which, all that being said, Cole Gordon was a great closer. But I really don't know. A guy that I think just throws hard that I think I really do want to have this role one day is Parker Stinnett. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that I trust him the most right now because he's still a young kid. But I say kid, he's my age. But he's still a young player. I mean, I feel like so I would say Parker, but at the same time, I really don't know who. I want Landon in there.
Yeah.
So if it's a tight situation, I don't think it matters if he pitched the day before or not.
I think Landon. And these next 3 are from another Gene's page user. First one is, who do you trust the most in this lineup?
I know I said that Forsyth is like my player of the weekend, but that's just like somebody that just pops off kind of out of the ordinary.
For content.
Out of the ordinary. But I think the guy I trust the most, especially against Ole Miss, is Tanner Allen. So
yeah, I'm gonna go TA as well. I'm kind of there with TA. Yeah. Okay, and then we answered the Hatcher one, and then why do most people give Ole Miss the advantage in starting pitching? I still don't get that one.
I really don't either.
I think it's mostly Hoagland, but I see that as a wash with C-Mac. C-Mac is good other than that Arkansas game.
I see, like, Friday, Saturday, this is the closest that we've seen like just completely equal. And it's not like they're the same kind of pitcher, but it's like Hoagland is an ace, C-Mac is an ace, and I really don't know who to give the edge to.
Yeah.
I don't see it as them having the advantage. I think it's just very, very much 50-50.
Yeah.
And next week is when we're going to see, for the first time, two
How
pitchers
we match up against two aces.
Yeah, two aces that
Two MLB
I would
aces
definitely
almost.
say are better than C-Mac and Bednar. But that's for next week. So,
Okay, and the next one, who do you trust more, Leggett or DeBrule?
I'm going to say Tanner Leggett, and that's purely offensive. I think both of them are about the same at defense. So,
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well. Early in the season, DeBrule was really fun. As you've said, while we've talked, kind of is one of the best eyes on the team.
Yeah.
DeBrule seems like he's always walking if he's not grounding out,
Yeah.
which, I mean, I don't know what to think about that. It's always hitting ground balls.
yeah, I mean, Scotty, I think he has the second most walks on the team behind Luke Hancock, and Luke Hancock's a big hitter. I think most of his walks are more likely just pitching around him, maybe,
Yeah.
whereas Scotty's it's him, like, getting to 3-2 counts and just like taking a really, really good pitch, but still taking it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think he just has the best eye on the team.
Okay. I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
This was a long one. It was a fun one.
Yeah. So if you're still here, sticking around, thank you so much. Like we said, I know it's a long one, but we really had a lot of content to go through.
I mean, didn't feel like there was much empty space in here other than...
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest series in baseball that we've had in probably the last 3 years, regular season-wise. Talking about implications for postseason, the weird...
We didn't even touch on that stuff, and we did 48 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend and next weekend are going to be massive for what our national seed is going to be and whether or not we host.
And if Ole Miss takes a series loss right here, they're
really struggling.
They're having to play from behind.
Yeah, I mean they've got to pop off later in the season, and so I mean the winner of this really has an advantage moving forward in hosting, and so that's what the implications mean. I know we mentioned recruiting, but hosting. I mean this season rides a lot on this series right here.
It sure does.
So if you're coming to Starkville this weekend for Super Bulldog Weekend, we hope you have an incredible time. But if you're watching from home, also,
Also, get in the car and come to Starkville.
I think there's going to be a ticket for you if you want one. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any limit at all. So if you're here, I think the weather should be good, and so it's gonna be a fun weekend.
It sure will.
And so thank you guys so much for listening. Like we said, if you made it to this point, really thank you. It's been really fun. This has probably been one of our best episodes. I mean, I just feel like we have so much to talk about and didn't even get to some of it. So, but thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you after a hopeful series win against Ole Miss. Talk to you later. I know I said we were going to go down. We were going to win 2-1, but we getting that sweet.
We getting that sweet.
Girl, you my daddy.
Dude, you better not say GTHOM. You're going to go to hell.
Sweepers get swoop.
We all out of swoping.